Okay, folks, welcome back to another episode of Plum Bums Podcast, the blue-collar tradesman show where we talk about running a small business and being an entrepreneur in these crazy times of 2023 and this millennium. Episode 10.
Double digits.
Episode 10, we finally made it to double digits. And maybe our listeners will get to double digits.
We have to find that. We have to find that true stat because I've heard so many different versions of it where if you get to 10 episodes, if you get past 7 episodes,
something like that,
you're in the top 20%, you're in the top 15%, whatever it is, but we should find the true stat.
If there's so many stats, then we'll just make up our own. So we're officially in the top 0.5% of all podcasts.
Yep.
So this is when we should start seeing some real money, right?
We're basically Joe Rogan
right
at this point.
Yeah. If only. He's the most popular podcast, isn't he?
In the world.
In the world.
I think he's like the most listened to person who's got like a talk show or a radio show or anything like that in the world.
How did he do it?
What?
How did he do it? How did he do all that?
I don't know.
How is that done?
He's got interesting guests and he lets people talk. That's what it is.
Yeah, that is true.
He doesn't do what we do.
He's
We
got people who want
interrupt
to listen to him.
everybody all the time.
Like I'm in you right now?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Wait.
That's going to get old real quick. So for our 10th episode, we have a very special guest, interesting industry, the tattoo industry, the industry of tattooing, the art of tattooing. AJ, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. AJ you own Broadway Tattoo Lounge in Sayreville, New Jersey.
That's correct.
You have bunch of different tattoo artists. You said a lot of them have their own style. You guys do traditional color, but your specialty is realism.
Yeah, fine line, black and gray. Realism.
Fine line, black and gray. I've scrolled to your Instagram. It's impressive.
Well, thank you.
When people can draw something like that just on a piece of paper, that's impressive. But the fact that you're putting it on someone's body is, you watch these shows where people go in with like realistic portraits and stuff, and that's what you do.
Listen, when I'm having a bad day, I'm coming back here because you're blowing a lot of smoke up on us.
He does that with everybody, and it's like, where does that come?
Well, it gets up.
It's supposed to come to me sometimes.
I'll tell you why, because if I use my usual personality of insults and ball busting, people close up, but I want them to open up on the podcast. so you, what was I saying? Anyway, yeah, we're not going to delve into that. I'm a jerk off mic. But no, we got AJ here. Like I said, I've seen your work. Unbelievable. How long have you been tattooing for?
I'm tattooing 21 years now. I'm in business for 15.
How do you get into it? You're covered in tattoos, clearly. Did you go into it being covered in tattoos, or did you?
What kind of a question is that? Did he go into it covered in tattoos? You like
No.
No?
I did have a lot of tattoos, but not like I do now. I had a lot of different artists working for me over the years, so that's all the different styles on me because I usually have so many artists work on me,
How'd you get into this industry? What drew you to it?
Well, I have to give a shout out to my buddy Chad Lockhart. I went to school with him. He was my roommate in college.
Mm-hmm.
And when we graduated and got out of school, he got right into tattooing. And I got right into advertising and wound up getting a job in the pre-press industry.
And you told me pre-press, I just learned this, pre-press is the final, right before it goes into the magazine, you do all the touch-ups.
Right. I did all the high-end retouching, color work.
So you have to have a really good eye for that stuff.
You're an artist. That's what it is.
There was a point where I was able to give you a breakdown of a color, of what colors were in that.
Really?
Just by looking at it. Yep.
Wow.
I've always been impressed. So I like to draw, but I don't do color. I don't like color. I'm not good at color. I'm not matching color.
Well, that's why I don't tattoo any color.
Yeah.
I paint in color. I tattoo in black and gray. I found my niche and I just ran with it,
And you stuck with it.
That's it.
And you guys, you probably have a waiting list of people to get to you to be tattooed by you.
Yeah. I mean, the shop has a good reputation. We got a lot of great artists there. I have 7 different tattoo artists there, and there's a lot of experience. So if you go on our Google page, we're a 5-star shop.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's where most people are going when they're looking up a business, right to Google. I don't even bother with Yelp or anything like that.
I don't think anyone does.
Yelp, Angie's List, just go right to Google, and you can get your little link, throw it on your website. But how you have a talent that you've obviously cultivated your entire life. There's no way that 21 years ago, you started messing around with art.
No.
Yeah.
I've been drawing since I'm, I don't know, 3 years old. That was my obsession.
Yeah.
That was it. Ever since, I was a little kid.
Were you in special art classes?
No, actually, I was so far advanced by the time I got to the age of going to school for, when I was in high school, I didn't take art classes. It was like, because that was just basic stuff.
Yeah.
In high school, I took like engineering classes, like mechanical drawing, stuff like that, stuff where it was very technical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was going to get into like civil engineering when I was going to college, and I learned that I had to go up to calculus 2, and that was it.
Yeah.
I said I can't do that. I barely made it through pre-algebra.
Yeah, I hear you on with the math.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a musician. Everyone says, "Oh, musicians, artists, they're really good at math." I'm like, absolutely not. I suck at math. It's one of my worst subjects.
If it's money, I'm good. Money is good.
Yeah.
Anything else, formulas?
I can count.
Formulas, I can't do.
No, that tattooing is. We were talking yesterday. We had Dan Enrico from DSM Marketing Group on here. We were talking about branding your business, aesthetically putting out your business so people recognize, even down to the color scheme of what you use online. The tattoo industry is kind of wonky though, because you automatically start off like with a badass aesthetic, like being in the tattoo business. It's you're coming out like the tough guy branding style. And you asked me to make a little video for you, and I like your aesthetic, the way you had it. Like your brand was on the, it looked like it was carved out of wood and stuff, and we put it with lights and stuff. But as far as building that shop, because I know there's a ton of competition, how do you get out there? Is it all just word of mouth mostly for you guys?
When I first started, I was so into it. I was still working my night job as in the pre-press industry, and I would come home from that, working there all night. I'd sleep a few hours. I would sleep 3 hours. I'd get up. I had the key to the shop that I worked at, and I would open up an hour before. I'd clean up, and then I just treated that place like it was my own, even though it wasn't. Anytime there was any kind of events, I used to hand out flyers, make up flyers, attach some of the work I did, because back then there was no digital stuff. Like you didn't have the phone where you were sending your Instagram page or anything like that. It was all hard copies of photos of the work that you did.
Portfolio, yeah.
Right, it was portfolio. So I used to make up flyers, and I used to go to bike events, motorcycle events, all sorts of different things. And I used to take those flyers and put them in. And then finally the word started getting out, like, who's this guy AJ? Who's this guy? I see his name all over the place, because I just plastered my name everywhere.
Really? And
I was just so early in the game that, my work sucked, but I had a good personality.
Yeah.
I was very sociable with everybody. So people liked to come to me, and they felt comfortable. And as I worked on more and more people, that's how my work got better. Because, listen, I could have been a great great artist on paper, but applying it to skin is a whole different game. Whole different game. That's why everybody does an apprenticeship, and they get a feel for that, and they learn the speed of the machine, the depth of the needle, all that stuff.
What's the require? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, how do you put work, like for an apprentice, how do you put work from paper onto somebody's body? Because if you mess up on paper, you throw it away. Right. If you mess up on somebody's body, like I've seen that show, what is it, Tattoo Nightmares, where you have to fix the way that you have to fix a tattoo if you mess it up on, because that's permanent.
Well,
how do you?
So what we do is, I have an apprentice right now. I had multiple people doing apprenticeships under me throughout the years, and there's so many things you learn before you even get to the point of picking up the tattoo machine. But when you do, it's usually like you're applying it to a grapefruit, a piece of fake skin. Now that they have fake skins out now, people have used like pig skin, stuff like that, just to get a feel for it. And then after you do that multiple times and you get comfortable with that, then you put the word out saying, I'm an apprentice. I'll do a free tattoo on you, or you ask a friend, or you ask a family member, and you do something small that could be covered up in the future.
Okay.
And for the most part, slowly but surely, you start getting a feel for it, and you start getting a little bit better and better.
It's just it's a pure grassroots industry.
Oh yeah,
100%
for sure.
Like you're starting out.
Listen, I still have sleepless nights over work that I do.
Really?
This is probably the only industry that you will not be able to sleep some nights because in your mind that you didn't hit the mark that you wanted to.
So I lay in bed
We'll
because
text each other sometimes to be like, listen, did I tighten that union?
Yeah.
I think I flooded the house.
Yeah.
That stuff keeps me up.
Yeah.
100%.
But,
or like gas lines.
But do you know what it feels like to actually put something permanent on a person?
No.
That's what I mean. It's like you can go back and fix those pipes or whatever it is that you do, and then that's it.
That is true.
But now you have something that's permanent on someone, and
we can also gas them out while they're sleeping and they don't wake up.
Or that. I've thought about doing that to some clients too.
So, tattooing, you get your apprenticeship. What is required by the state? And it varies by state, I'm sure.
In New Jersey, you're required to do 2,000 hours of your apprenticeship.
Okay.
So
that's like a 1 year of a full-time job.
Right. So if I have an apprentice that can only make it there full-time because they have a job and they can only come by full-time. So it might take a little bit longer. It really depends on how much time they dedicate to it and how fast they're progressing.
Well, who's signing off on that? An owner?
I sign off on it after they're done. Sometimes another. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes there's other tattoo artists in the shop that are willing to take on an apprentice, and then they would be the ones to write the letter of the 2,000 hours.
So you're their official sponsor, and you register through the state to do that.
Correct.
That's
cool.
It's
not really registered through the state. It's the Board of Health is requiring this.
Gotcha.
So when they come in and you have a new artist working for you, they're asking for their letter.
Okay, I got
that they did the 2,000 hours, and they want samples of their work. Now they're asking to see their Instagram pages or printouts of the work that they've done.
So they're sticklers, the state's stickler for that stuff.
Yeah.
Like people could get sick.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are doing it out of their house, and listen, you don't know what you're doing, and you're cross-contaminating stuff, and you're passing on hepatitis. Like everybody thinks I watched this show or I watched a YouTube video, and I'm just going to pick up a tattoo gun.
Right.
Now, if you say gun, you don't know shit about the industry because no one uses that term that's experienced.
What is it?
It's tattoo machine.
A tattoo machine?
Yes. So if there's people that say gun, you know they're not knowledgeable of the industry.
That's a good marker then.
Right.
I have a tattoo that I did get in someone's house. I saw him open up everything, but the work wasn't great. It bothers me to this day, but he was like a newer guy. He was trying it out, and the tattoo's not complicated, but still like you can 100%.
Listen, trust me, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. We've all done it in the beginning. But what I'm saying is people that never ever want to
get out of there.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want to learn under a person that's experienced. They're just comfortable
Stubborn.
with watching their videos and saying I could do that.
Yeah.
And I've watched Ink Master, and I could do a full back piece in one sitting.
Well, it's the same with our industry. You have to be sponsored by a master plumber. The master plumber has to sponsor you. But I would assume that that's widespread, that issue, with people just trying to wonk it out in their garage.
Yeah, and you know what happens to the people that worked and put the blood, sweat, and tears into this and actually put the time in to do the apprenticeship? It's a kind of a kick in the balls.
Yeah.
Because, these people are taking away clients because a lot of people, They don't care, man. They'll look for the best price over the best quality. And I still can't understand that because this is, if you break down a tattoo for the rest of your life, if you live another 50 years from now, and you paid $1,000 for a tattoo, and you divide that by the next 50 years, that's the amount that you paid for that tattoo. Or even if it's a $200 tattoo, you know what I mean? It's pennies broken down. But people will go shop and say, I don't care what it looks like. I just want... They want the image, but not the quality of it, if that makes sense.
We get the same thing. I think it's so funny that there's totally different industries, but we get the same issue with people.
Well, it's nature. People's nature. They don't want... Everybody always thinks that they're getting got.
Yeah,
They always think that they're getting got, and they're looking at you and saying, why are you so much more expensive? And in their head, it doesn't register with them. Like, if you turn it back on them and say whatever job that they're doing, it's like if you tell a lawyer that, like, why do you cost $700 versus the lawyer that I can get for $150 an hour? It's because
and it's frustrating
I do much better work.
Yeah, it's
that's
frustrating to have to explain that to people because it's a sensitive subject. Like, you wish people just understood that because that's what makes the most sense.
Well, I don't. I'm at the point in my career that I don't explain it anymore.
You don't even bother.
This is the price. Look at my portfolio. If you don't, if you don't want to come to me, I understand. I'll see you, in a few weeks when we want to talk about fixing it.
I was just going to say, with those backdoor garage guys, they're probably giving you a lot of work to have to fix.
What happens is a lot of the people that kind of cheap out on tattoos, they wind up paying more. They pay more for the tattoo because they get it done for, say, $100 from someone that's not experienced and they're a horrible artist.
Yeah.
And then now they got to come and get it either covered up or fixed by someone that now they're looking at the portfolio.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I tried to tell you, you know what I mean?
Get
like
that all the time.
It's like we're talking to ourselves here, but as tattoo artists.
But but as plumbers, we get that all the time. People say, I went with the cheaper guy. I need you to fix this now because he screwed it up. But I need you to fix it at his price.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's going to cost
Guess
you more.
What? It doesn't work like that. Like, your bad choices are not my responsibility.
Yeah, but for the most part now, I haven't had that issue in a while. And you know what? When I first opened up, we had our shop minimum set at a certain price.
Yeah,
and then there was a lot of people coming in that were like, can you do it for this instead, or can you do it? So I raised my minimum to wean out those people.
Yeah.
As soon as I raised my minimum, I eliminated a lot of the people that were like,
there you go,
trying to negotiate
and say, oh, like, well, can you do it for this much instead? I'm like,
right.
Listen, this is the minimum. As soon as I start opening stuff and setting up, I could put a dot on you, and this is what the minimum is.
Yeah.
So that's it. It could be, 1 second, or it could be 1 hour.
Right.
That's what you're paying for the first hour.
We have a minimum just to come out to the house.
Right.
Especially if it's an emergency. But like, if you're coming out, a minimum service call is $165. And it is that because we've sat down and done the math and we know exactly what it's going to cost to keep a minimum. We can't do it I can't get someone to your house for any cheaper than that. And it is what it is at this point, especially in 2023 when everything's going down the drains with the economy and stuff, But,
Don't get me started with that.
Yeah, I know. We could go on tangents about that for hours.
Uh-huh.
I'd have to use the mute button a lot of times, though.
No,
this is a family-friendly show.
This is such an
I'll keep that in
interesting industry to me because I don't have tattoos, but it's a thing that's blown up.
You Jewish?
Half. Half.
So you can get half your body tattooed.
Yeah, I don't get that rule.
No,
I don't understand that rule with them. Like
The biblical rule.
Yeah,
think
it's not
a law.
biblical.
It's an old.
It's not a law.
It is.
It's because what happened with the
There's
serial
Holocaust.
numbers.
Yeah, it's a
So
Holocaust thing.
That was like, what? We were forced to get tattooed. Now we are not getting tattooed.
it's nonsense because a ton of Jews have tattoos anyway.
I actually was going to take out a domain name years back
Jews with
called
tattoos?
Jews with Tattoos, and
Oh my gosh!
someone had it right because I was tattooing so
Yeah.
many Jewish people,
Yeah,
and I'm
they-
like, isn't there a rule? And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we're not going by
I don't
that. But
get
there are
that.
people that do that.
See that? I just pulled it up. Here, Leviticus 19:28.
They don't follow those rules. It's nonsense.
You shall not make gashes in your flesh for the dead, or incise any marks on yourselves. Leviticus 19:28.
I'm going with the Holocaust story.
Well, I'm sure that was solidified and made people follow this law more.
It doesn't matter. I don't for me, it's not a thing
That's
that
in the Christian Bible. It says that.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, in the Torah, but it's
in
part
the
of our
Torah.
Bible
Uh-oh.
too.
Okay.
Yeah. It's up there. I have. I wanted to ask, and this may come out wrong, so I'm going to ask it a different way. I'm going to kind of narrow my direction of this question. Drunk white girls coming into the store. They all want to get bridesmaids tattoos. They want to make a day of bridesmaids tattoos.
Is that a question or a statement?
Yeah, that's
I
not
don't
a
even know.
question.
I kind of want to know.
I don't know where you're going
I
with this.
kind of want to know how you deal with
annoying.
the annoying. I've been in a tattoo parlor where the girls are all excited and they're all, you know, how do you how do you just deal with that? Or you obviously don't tattoo. It's against the law to tattoo someone who's drunk or.
Oh, yeah, it can't
right?
be wasted now.
But girls
Oh
who
yeah, they have
come
a law.
in,
They have a law about that.
yeah.
You can't tattoo
I
someone.
think it's an unwritten law.
Yeah.
It's not a law. It's
Yeah.
just an unwritten rule that you know you're not thinking clearly.
Yeah.
Or
It's like the
or
pirate
it's
code.
Plus, I mean, I've tattooed people where they were drinking the night before. They drank a lot, and the blood was pouring out of them. Like it was pushing the ink right out because their blood was
wow.
so thin. And this is from the night before. So if someone came in and they had a couple of drinks to kind of like
loosen up.
and that's not a problem. It's if they come in falling down drunk and
Yeah.
being obnoxious.
You're just not
then,
gonna do it.
Then
yeah.
you're like, you know what? You need to do this another day.
yeah.
Do you deal with a lot of tattoo regret? People coming in.
No, because I do good work.
I have a story where a guy came into me and he says, my wife, I'm going to try not to curse because I'm not going to quote him on the things that he said. So he said, my wife and I, we're separating. We're getting a divorce. I want her name covered. So
well, isn't that like the worst thing ever anyway? Getting your wife's name tattooed on you.
You know
Wife
what?
and
I'm with
girlfriend.
my wife 14 years. I have her name on me twice. I have her portrait on my
But like, how
stomach.
do you find it even?
Yeah.
It's like you're
Yeah,
covered.
listen,
You can-
it took her a week to see it. It took her 1 week to figure out that I had her name on me. I didn't tell her, and she was like, "Oh, wait, what?" Yeah. I was like, "That's been there for a week. It's almost healed already."
Oh wow, that's funny. What were you asking? You had,
So
Yeah.
the story I was saying
Yeah.
was, he says I want to get my wife's name covered. So I don't know. We do some bullshit little thing, and he comes back like 2 weeks later, and he's like, me and my
No.
wife, we figured everything out. You know, he gets her name back on,
Oh my God.
and then he comes back
No.
the following month and he asked to get it covered. He did this 6 times.
Oh my God.
I am not even kidding you. I covered her name 6 times. I said, "Bro, I'm not doing this anymore."
how is he not
Why, it's a great client.
humiliated?
I said, I said, "What? There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. I can't do this."
There is something wrong.
That's
Because
ridiculous. That's
Oh my
absurd.
God.
You're just abusing your body at that point. What's this?
That's why, I mean,
6 times?
6 times.
You'll swear on a Bible to that?
I swear on a
That's
Bible to that.
insane. What a moron.
Finally, I said, "This is the last time I'm doing this." At one point, we were just scribbling over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't even being creative
it
about it.
can't look good at that point anymore. Like you have, there's
No,
only so
it
much
was
you can
different
do.
areas. It was different.
Oh.
It was her name in a different spot.
Oh, my
then
God.
that would get covered, and then he would put her name somewhere else, and then that would get covered, and he put her name somewhere.
What a buffoon. What an absolute.
I think I actually said that straight to his face.
What's that tattoo where literally they just cover large portions of their body with black?
It's blackout.
It's just blackout.
Yeah, that's what people are doing now.
It's
Dude,
supposed
doing
to
it
be
to their eyeballs.
They have like
online.
100 mag, like needle, like it's 100 needles soldered together, and it's like a shovel.
Holy cow.
Oh my
I
God.
don't.
I heard it's like the most painful tattoo to get.
Did you know what I'm talking about? I'm seeing people online on the internet, like people who like
Eyeballs?
mutilate their bodies, but they'll tattoo their
Oh
eyeballs.
yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
tattoo eyeballs?
I know a guy that did that. He said it was the worst thing he ever had done when it was first started happening. When they first started doing that. This is the Enigma. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He's the guy that has all the puzzle pieces tattooed
I've
all
seen
over his
pictures
body.
of
Okay,
it. And he
he's
has
at all the
implants?
conventions.
He has implants?
implants. He was like probably one of the first few that had his eyeballs tattooed, and they just inject the ink into the white part of your eyes. And he said what it did was it basically just dried out his eyes, so he's in pain 24/7.
Oh.
And there's no reversing that.
Yeah.
There's no removing that. There's nothing. You make that decision.
Is that a standard side effect?
I don't know. I don't know if it was because he was like, it was more experimental back then for them. So maybe they mastered it since then.
How the heck do you even figure out? Let's try this now.
Yeah.
Let's try doing the eyeballs. We've done everything else. What's the most painful part to tattoo in your opinion?
Guy is a very smart, intelligent guy too, and he speaks well. And
The puzzle guy?
yes, Enigma. And he used to do like the freak shows at the convention. I don't
Yeah.
know if I've lost contact because I haven't done the conventions in a while.
I mean, I look at those people. I've known a lot of people who are heavily tattooed and have piercings and a couple implants and stuff, and they're pretty cool. I mean, they're normal and they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
They're smart. They know their stuff.
Yeah.
But you look at him, you're like, I mean, what happened
You know
to you
what,
as a kid?
You know what it's you know what it's like when I ever see somebody like covered in tattoos, because I'm one of the only people now in this world that doesn't have tattoos all over the
And
place.
no offense, but you should stay like that.
I know I don't like.
I know you don't, but
not
I'm saying.
offense to you either. I don't like tattoos. It's not for me. But every time
It's becoming so mainstream.
It's
It's
crazy.
becoming so popular that now you are going to stand out more than
yeah.
anyone. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be the guy that people look at and be like, "Wow, look at him. He held out."
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Anytime I see somebody with like a ton of tattoos all over them, and like when you shake their hand or something and you meet them, I always feel like that scene in The Joker when he goes, "You want to know how I got these scars?" And it's just like,
Is that how you
whoa.
thought of me when I walked in?
Listen, you have an intimidating presence about you, but I've come to enjoy your presence now.
Oh,
and I'm saying that
Thank you.
on
A lot of people say that.
live air.
A lot of people say
That you're intimidating?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, you're a tattoo artist. You're covered in tattoos. You wear big biker boots.
Yeah.
And you wear a hat rimmed down to your eyeballs, and you just stare at people through the top of your eyes. I mean, it's kind of creepy.
I didn't know I did that.
I feel like if stuff was gonna go down, I would want you on my side. That kind of.
I've seen you do a couple takedowns to a couple of our buddies. It's pretty funny.
That's
I've only seen them when they've had a couple of those. So
My
I don't
father
know.
always
I
said,
took
"Get on that
advantage of
guy's
them being
side."
drunk.
Yeah. Well, that's the best way to fight. To take the advantage.
That's right. You find the drunkest guy and you take advantage of him.
What's the, in your opinion, what's the most painful place to tattoo, excluding genitals?
The eyeball.
Me getting it or giving it?
I would say giving it. Where are people screaming and saying, begging you to stop the most? I always thought it would be like under the armpit.
Yeah. Well, my experience, because everybody else has their own sensitive spots. Mine was close to the armpit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple, and they're not in any really painful positions. It was all doable. Like this one, I sat there and read a book the whole time. We were talking about this. Do you talk? Is it courteous to talk to your tattoo artist, or they should prefer to not be talked to? But I sat there. I kind of read his vibe. I'm like, yeah, this guy just wants to do his artwork and get me out of here.
All right.
Sat there and read a book. But I see people. I used to never see armpits tattooed, and now I see armpits tattooed.
Yeah, it's
or
crazy.
like right on the soft under part of your bicep. Like, ugh.
Yeah. And her arm.
Yeah, that's got to be brutal.
I've tattooed. I've tattooed almost every part of the body, except for the genitals. I wouldn't do that. I've been asked
Good.
a few times, and I told them that it would be a $5,000 handling fee, and they bailed out. But no, I've tattooed over nipples. I've tattooed in belly buttons,
In belly buttons?
inside the belly buttons, where they blacken it out because it's like part of the tattoo.
Oh,
So
fair enough.
yeah, I've tattooed very close to private areas.
So we talked about marketing, and that you're really mostly word of mouth. Your word of mouth and your portfolio on Instagram and stuff really just
Yeah, that's what speaks.
yeah.
It speaks to people. Your portfolio, speaks for itself. That's why sometimes some guys get caught up in bad mouthing or bashing other artists because they think that's going to make themselves look better.
Yeah.
Their artwork is the only thing that's going to
Right.
make them look good. You could say whatever you want about someone. So if someone said something about my artwork, someone that didn't like me said something to one of my clients. Oh yeah, his work sucks. I don't even know why you go to him. If they like my tattoos,
Yeah.
they're not going to listen to that guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never understood that. I never talked bad about someone else. I only focus on my work,
That's good.
and I keep it at that.
We do the same thing. You hear me all the time with customers.
So we'll recommend people to other plumbers if
Yeah.
to the plumbers that we know do good work. You know, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody to badmouth, especially friends in the industry, because I'm sure you have friends that own their businesses,
Sure.
own tattoo businesses too. So you want to help them out without hurting yourself. But you recommend people. Some people you might just not get along with, or you might not just have a good rapport with. When you can see probably when somebody walks in and what they want, and you might say to somebody, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but listen, I know a guy that might be better for you.
That's what we do in the shop.
Yeah.
I have seven artists at the shop, so everybody has their own style. If someone came to me and said, I want a color tattoo, I don't do color tattoos.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend one of the guys that they're going to get a really good tattoo, because it's coming out of my shop.
Yeah.
Right? So I want the best work for the person that's walking out of
100%.
that shop. So if they want a traditional tattoo, I'm going to steer them in the direction of the guy that does the best traditional tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
So you started your shop, and then it was just you. You bought the space.
No, it was actually my brother and I opened it in 2008.
Oh, your brother tattoos as well?
No, he was a behind the scenes guy.
Okay.
He was more on the business end. I was more the tattoo end. And then I bought him out in 2013, and now I do both.
How long did it take you to build up artists to work for you?
Oh, the first shop that I worked at, I made friends there, and when we opened the shop, I only had one other guy tattooing with me.
Uh-huh.
But when I left the first shop, I told everybody, and I wasn't pulling anyone out of the guy's shop. I said, if things don't work out here, you could always, work at my place.
Right.
You always have a spot at my place.
That's good.
It was great working with you, and slowly they started trickling over.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it was just like it wasn't consistent at that shop. Like when I said I used to treat it like it was my own.
Yeah.
Like I used to open it up and clean it up, because like the owner, he would smoke and leave garbage in the garbage pails, and it would cause fruit flies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I went there, I kind of cleaned that up and said, like, this is what I think is best for the shop. And then I think when I left, things kind of fell off a little bit again.
I mean, you were doing that for someone else's business while you were working there?
Yes.
That's the attitude to have. My uncle would always say, if you're working for somebody, treat it like it's your business.
All right.
How you would want it to be.
Well, if you love it, I mean,
Yeah,
if this
if you
is
want
what
to be
you love,
successful.
and people that are coming in, you want them to feel comfortable, and
Right.
this is what draws people to it. They see like the thing that we pride ourselves in at my shop is cleanliness.
Yeah.
People walk in, they see this beautiful, clean shop. They say, man, they feel comfortable right away, because they're like, I'm not going to.
Like my shop.
Right. It's beautiful in here. Do you have someone that comes in and cleans
I
it?
have. They come in twice a week. They clean up, and
Two people that come in twice a week and
Yeah.
clean up, right?
and
Max and Phil.
and I don't tell them which days to come in. So, I actually get 4 days for the price of 2.
That's good.
Can you tell?
I absolutely can. That's why I asked you.
I'm hoping within the next 2 months that we have a little studio spot, because we talk about trying to do video for this thing, but
Could you get a green screen and it'll look like you're like driving in a car while you're interviewing people
will
or
you
something?
tell him?
No.
So this is what I wanted to do.
Nah.
We
I want-
decided not to do that,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why, because he was in my ear about it for so long. I'm like, fine, maybe you're right. But what I wanted to do was have a background like brick that went up maybe a quarter or a couple feet up the wall, and then put the green screen back behind that, so we could put like
We
a
could
beach
be in the
scene
Bahamas.
behind. We could
one
be in the
day,
Bahamas talking.
and then
That's
the
right.
next day
You
we
know
could
what
be
I
in
mean?
space, and then it's like no,
But
it doesn't even make sense.
I don't have the software. It would look a little wonky.
Yeah, but you see those TikTokers,
Yeah.
right? They pay someone some money to be able to take pictures in front of their $250,000 car.
Oh, yeah,
and then
that
they
is
post
true.
it up on
Yeah.
TikTok, and everybody thinks that they're living this glamorous life.
Dude, people make money for TikTokers. You can rent out a private jet set
Yeah.
as a TikToker and act like you're on your way to Paris. How?
I don't know. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong.
You're not.
We're not doing anything wrong.
You're really not. It's like I think I've already talked about this meme before, but I saw a meme where it's the Joker. The Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and he's dressing up in the backstage of the studio where right before he gets on stage, and he's putting on the makeup and everything, and the meme says, "Me getting ready for my 9-to-5 job while I know that there's an 8-year-old out there making millions of dollars."
Exactly.
Reviewing toys or something. It's like
I
some ridiculous thing.
just said that to a bunch of my friends. I have a group message with 5 of my friends that we grew up together. I know them 37 years. I'm friends with almost 40 years. I'm friends with these guys. And that one of them sent, I don't know, some kind of stupid video of some young girl doing some stupid dance, or I don't know what it was. Right?
Those dance videos, man.
So it had 25,000 likes, right? I spend 30 hours painting, doing a painting,
yeah.
right? In detail like you wouldn't believe. And I make a video of this thing, time-lapse video,
Nobody cares.
and I get all of about 12 likes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
There's a science to it, though, and here's the thing: if you want those many likes, you have to dedicate your time to
There's
posting
algorithms.
at the right time and figuring out the algorithms and sitting there and making sure, because you don't just pop off doing like 150,000 likes. You have to make sure that you're putting multiple reels a day
Yep.
with the right audio. So you have to research trending audio and then figure out how to make it's ridiculous.
Well, could you break down the formula for me?
It's not
I mean,
about
I
your
don't know the
quality.
formula. I get 14 likes. I don't know what to tell you.
It's not
Well,
about.
that's 2 more than me.
Yeah,
I'll give you the other
we
2
have
likes.
2 more than you. So let us indulge you in how experienced.
Yeah, let me tell
we
you.
are.
Okay, so what you want to do when you want to wake up and you want to I kind of look up this little stuff on how the best time to post to TikTok, the best time to post to Instagram to get the most views and stuff like that. But it's work.
Yeah.
And you're saying, what am I doing wrong? Well, honestly, there's nothing wrong with like honest work.
Yeah, no.
The honest guys and the good guys, you have a family, you have a home on a beautiful piece of property that you can overlook a ravine. Like where you live, I would love to live there. It's beautiful. Nice and quiet. These people and these kids who are making all this money, they're doomed in the long run. I mean, they're getting millions of dollars thrown at them. They'll be doomed in the long run.
It's an easy come, easy go type
Yeah.
thing. You remember how people used to always talk new money? There's new money and there's old money. People with new money, they don't know how to keep it.
Yeah.
People with
Well, pretty
quick
soon.
and new money,
Yeah.
they
Pretty
just
soon
don't know
there's
how
not
to
going to
make
be any money at all.
Exactly. Well,
I don't want to
know.
get into that either.
Then no one will be super.
no, listen, it cannot sustain itself.
No.
Where people are making money from doing nothing, from just making videos. Content doesn't sustain economies.
That is true.
People, entertainment doesn't sustain economies,
Neither does the
It-
government. So talking about branding, look at that face. What Frankie's face here? What other dog would you think of a plumber besides this dog?
None.
Just
None.
like
That's it.
she's perfect for branding. What do you kind of lean towards when you're trying to brand? When you were trying to brand your business starting off?
Well, I wanted to speak to everybody, not just like, in the beginning it was, everybody thought it was more of like the bikers would get tattooed and it was like the delinquents or the degenerates. But
Yeah.
when I opened my shop, it was like we did a thing where we had TVs in the stations, and we were going to run cameras to each station where you would be able to watch your tattoo, and we wanted to appeal to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, like it became like where the moms came in and the lawyers
yeah.
and the doctors and
I'm
all
watching.
that stuff.
I used to play. I play soccer, and I'm watching soccer games now. And it used to be when I was growing up watching soccer, nobody had tattoos, or you might have 1 or 2
Yeah.
here and there. Now every single
Everybody,
soccer
yeah.
player, every single athlete's got a sleeve, a leg, everything. Like Beckham.
Yep.
You know, he's
Yep.
from head to toe. Same thing. It's like
Listen, there's a cool aspect to the tattoo industry that I've always found interesting.
women love it.
Women, yeah.
Women love it.
Women love it. I mean, and I
That's why I don't have one now.
And my thing used to growing up with art used to be portraits. I used to love drawing realistic portraits, but I can't. I'm scrolling through your Instagram as we're talking. I can't, like, it's just.
No,
when
it's
you-
definitely art.
It
It's
is
art.
When are we
absolutely art.
doing Frankie? We're gonna tattoo Frankie, on you, right?
I don't know. I need to see if she's going to work out.
Do you
still.
do you have any tattoos on yourself that you regret, or no?
No,
No.
no, and I got a lot of shitty tattoos,
Yeah.
but I don't regret any of them. And the reason I don't is because it's kind of like a journal of your life. Because I could tell you every tattoo, the mood I was in,
Oh, yeah.
what I was going through, you know, why I got it at the time. You know, I look back at some, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have did this, but I don't regret it because it actually, it's kind of a map of my life. You know?
You have kids?
Yes.
How old, if you don't mind me asking?
I have a 9-year-old son, I have an 18-year-old daughter, and a almost 21-year-old daughter.
What would you think if they wanted to get tattoos like you do? Is it something that you're like supportive of, or it's something that you're just like
They're
I don't
literally
care?
getting eyeball tattoos right now.
No.
Their eyes are being
Like if they,
injected with
came,
ink
if
right
they
now.
came to you at like 15 years old and they were like, you know, because some people get it, you know, in their
Yeah.
teens. If they came to you and they're like, "Listen, Dad, I want to get a tattoo." You know, can you?
Well,
How do you feel?
16, you can get in New Jersey. You can get a tattoo with parent consent or legal guardian. But I don't think I would. And you know what? My son now, he's 9, and he comes to the shop with me a lot. I have an office where I built an office where he could be comfortable and sit and with a couch and watch TV or play video games because he has to come with me sometimes. And he kind of knows the process of a tattoo. So
He's familiar. He's growing up around it.
when I ask him if he wants one, he says no. I'm not getting needles stuck in me.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Not nice. Well,
So,
actually
yeah,
nice.
well,
That's
anyway,
cool. That's kind of that's pretty based.
I ask him if he wants to be a tattoo artist when he gets older, and he says no. And I said, good answer.
All right, so you're doing right.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Just keep bringing him with me. Let him see it.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We'll take a quick break. We'll regroup, and then when we come back, we'll just kind of shoot the shit about life in general. But this has been good. I learned a lot here. But stick with us, and we'll be back. All right, we ready?
I'm ready.
We've hacked out all the coughs and everything. Adjusted the mics.
I think so.
All ready to go.
As soon as you go, I'm going to cough.
I do it all the time. Sometimes I think I have Tourette's, but then I know my brother really has Tourette's, so I don't want to use that excuse. So
Is that your brother?
no, Max. Hopefully not. Yeah, he has snotty Tourette's. Max had to get going. We don't have it for the second half, so it's party time, baby.
Let's go.
Anyway, we're back. We're back from break. Thanks for listening, folks. We're here again with AJ from Broadway Tattoo Lounge in Sayreville, New Jersey, giving us the inside look at the tattoo industry. Very interesting stuff. Like I said, I view it as a cool, mysterious, underground type of industry. But as we were talking about last time, it hasn't been really stayed underground. It's
No.
really become mainstream. Everyone's getting tattoos.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, a cop out almost. Like if you don't have a tattoo,
Well, you see the new generation, what they're doing.
what?
They're getting their complete necks and hands tattooed. Their first tattoos are their throat and
The
their
first
hands.
tattoos?
Yes, and they wear their long sleeve shirts, and they have their necks done, so it looks like they have a full body suit, but they only have their hands and their necks done.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Ugh.
That's like the last.
What
Those
a
are like the last things you get tattooed usually. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in the industry for a long time, and I think it took me over 10 years until I got my knuckles tattooed.
Is that a painful spot?
No, it
Knuckles?
wasn't too bad.
No?
No.
You got big meaty hands. You're a biker too. You ride bikes.
Yeah.
How long have you been riding bikes for? Forever. Like dirt bikes as a kid and stuff.
Well, yeah, I rode dirt bikes when I was a kid. But motorcycles, I'm trying to think, 25 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, half my life.
We used to, I mean, growing up, I have family who lives out in Ohio. Every time we go down there, all my cousins had dirt bikes and stuff like that. So that's where we would mess around. And then I finally got my motorcycle license 10, 15 years ago. Maybe it's even closer to 20 years ago now that I think about it. But you play the part, like you look the part. I don't. I'm fat. Like I have my hair's parted. Like I wear.
There's a lot of fat bikers. What are you talking about?
Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's a good point. We went out to Ohio a couple weeks ago, and we were riding out. We passed this. It's funny you say that. We passed this motorcycle gang, and there's just these
club.
loads.
It's not gang.
I'm sorry. Yeah, club, motorcycle club.
Thank you.
We're a club. I've seen that in Practical Jokers episode. But I'm looking down the line, and it's just these, like, if they weren't on a motorcycle, they'd be on a scooter at Walmart with a cart in front of it. You know what I mean? Huge.
Yeah.
And then with these tiny women on the back.
Yeah.
But there was like 24 of them riding down, and we looked at each other and started laughing like, these guys pose no fear whatsoever. Like gangs, clubs, or when groups of motorcycles used to inspire fear in people. But what is your most popular type of client?
My most popular client.
Like what type of people do you get the most?
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine is probably like, I don't know, middle-aged white boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
The biggest consumer in all market right now.
I
All
don't know.
market.
But there's a lot of women. The women are overpowering the tattoo industry as far as getting tattooed. There's more women getting tattooed now than men. But my portfolio doesn't speak to them as much.
Okay.
I mean, just I do flowers. I love doing black and gray roses and stuff like that. But they're few and far between that they come to me. But I have more guys that, like, I was doing at one point a lot of morbid stuff, a lot of freehand right on the body.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got a name for that, and a lot of people would come and they would just trust me and
Yeah.
say, listen, I want an AJ tattoo. I want something cool. I don't care what it is. Do your thing. And they would trust me and.
So most of the artwork on your Instagram, how long does it take you to do a piece like that? Like those portraits?
The average portrait for me takes about 4-5 hours the most.
That's it? You can do it in one session?
Yeah, and that's like maybe the size of a hand, maybe
Okay.
a little bit smaller than a hand, the average size hand. When you get, you can't do a portrait too small because then you can't get
Right.
the details that you need. So you always have to keep them bigger.
Okay.
But when you do make a larger tattoo, some people are under the false conception of is that the proper terminology?
I would, yeah. Well, I don't know where you're going. I need to know where
Of thinking that if you make it smaller, it's going to take less time.
Oh, yeah, okay. I got you.
Did I use that in the right context?
Sure. I don't even remember what you said, but I think so. I think the people got it.
So if you actually make your tattoo a little bit bigger, it's easier to get the detail
I
and
gotcha.
move quicker. than if it was smaller and now you have to slow down a lot and can't get the detail.
Hey,
anymore.
you know what? Let me match it to my industry right now. Everyone comes in, we have a pipe repair, and I say, okay, I got to open up the wall. I got to open up like a 5x5 spot. They're like, whoa, the leak is right here. No, I got to get in there. I got to work.
Right.
If you want me to work in this tiny, small space and put tools in there, forget about it.
Right.
And we're opening up a nice big canvas for you and
Sure.
repairing a whole bunch of pipe.
Sure.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Sayreville.
Did you?
New Jersey, yes. But I was born in Brooklyn. We moved to Staten Island. We did the whole Brooklyn, Staten Island, New Jersey thing, you know. We moved to New Jersey.
So you're Italian.
You think?
Every Italian in New Jersey story, that's 100%
Yep.
true.
Yep.
So you kind of you pretty much grew up in Sayreville. You graduated high school there.
Yep. Yep. I actually did the folder that they put the diploma in. They kind of have this
Okay,
binder
yeah.
or something. Has a picture of the school, and then you have your diploma inside there. It's
Okay.
like it folds in
Yeah.
half. I did the architectural drawing for our school.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy
Because
smokes!
I told you I took all those
Yeah.
classes in high school, and my teacher recommended me to do the drawing because they just put an addition when I was graduating that year. That year they put an addition on the building on the school, and they needed an updated version of.
And they trusted one of their students.
Yep.
Holy smokes!
It was me, and you know what?
And it's still standing.
I was so excited. I was so excited at my graduation that I thought I was going to get like a shout out for it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I would have probably put like a water slide there, a fireman's pole. That's pretty cool. So, you when did you lose your hair? I'm just busting.
You noticed that? Oh, my
When did you
hat's off
start-
for the
when
my
did you
hat's off
start
for the
losing it?
earphones.
No, what is I going to? I was going to say. So you said you went to college, but I want to ask after high school, did you go? Because you look like a guy with a history.
Yeah, I do.
Did you? What kind of kid were you growing up?
I was very to myself up until a certain point. Then I hit puberty,
Uh-huh.
and then I didn't know what to do with that. I was like out of my freaking mind. I guess the hormones were going crazy.
Yeah.
And so was I. So I got myself into some trouble from the age of 14.
Up until what age would you say?
Last week.
Yeah.
No, I totally stay out of trouble now. That's for sure. I lived about 3 different lives so far.
You don't talk about that often. I notice. I've known you for quite some time. You really don't delve into that, which is fine. But
Well, I did go down a dark path for a short period of time. It wasn't a short period of time. I don't know. I was big into drinking at one point, and then I tried to stop drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was tattooing early in the beginning of tattooing, I was tattooing a guy, and he took like a half a pill before I started tattooing him, and I already stopped drinking for a couple of weeks. So I was always like, I was a little on edge because
yeah. Of
I
course.
didn't have a drink,
Right.
and I enjoyed it. But when he took that half a pill, I said, "What is that?" And he says, "A Vicodin." And now I grew up thinking that I was allergic to all pills because when I was younger, I was a kid, I had a reaction to a penicillin.
Okay.
So I had to be rushed to the emergency room. I was hived from head to toe. My heart was racing. So I thought that all pills, I would react to that way. But for some reason that day, I said, you know what, give me half of that. Let me try that. And I took the chance, and I took that half of Vicodin.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Oh yeah.
It brought me down a dark path that took me many years to come out of. And now it's like I stay away from everything. It's like over 11 years. And my worst day, clean and sober, is better than my best day using.
I know a lot of people who have seen people messing around with pills, and they let me try that.
Yeah, it's
And like that,
bad
those
news,
things
man.
will get you. And it's almost unlike most other drugs. It'll get anybody.
Yeah, and there was old women. I know, like an old lady, grandma, that was hooked on, Percocets because her doctor prescribed her for certain things and was on them too long, and then
Yeah.
she would try and come off them, and she couldn't come off them.
Yeah, and that doctor should know,
Yeah.
you know.
So it's
It's-
a
it's-
slippery slope, man, and I don't recommend anybody even giving it a try.
So you went through a bunch of stuff while you were trying to build your tattoo career.
Yeah, that was in the beginning of my career, and I was, like I said, I was working both jobs. I was working nights and I was working days at the tattoo shop, and that was, I felt like that was something that was keeping me going. I didn't know until I knew
Yeah.
that I had a problem
Right.
with it, because it was only until I didn't have it is when I realized, holy shit.
That's what happens with most people. They don't even realize it until they
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah.
I went through, not to, my 20s when everyone's, they're in college and they come home and you start hanging out and getting jobs around where you people grew up, and then you start messing with this, you start messing with, everyone's hanging out on the weekends, and before you know it, half your friends are hooked on this stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I was a weekend warrior, man. I was like, I never felt like I had any kind of issue until I got involved in that.
Yeah.
And that was the game changer. Like opiates
Mm-hmm.
is
We've talked about
serious.
that. It's an issue in our industry too.
Yeah.
A lot of guys coming up. There's because there's a lot of vets in our industry and stuff, and they're prescribed pain meds and all these meds from combat or whatever. A lot of guys who have gotten hurt on the job. It's a big problem in our industry, but I think what can you do?
I don't know, man. It was a very desperate time for me when I was trying to stop that, and I felt like at one point, man, I would be good for a little while, and then I'd take my will back.
Do you find yourself playing therapist to a lot of your clients while you're?
Sure. And I actually, I give back. I give back by helping a lot of people when it comes to stuff like that. I try to, at least.
Yeah.
I try and just give them my experience when it comes to that. I try and give them my experience with it, and just let them know, the slippery slope that it is.
Yeah.
Where they can wind up going with it.
You know what I find though, younger people don't listen, because I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either.
They don't, and it's frustrating because you were that young person. It's like God damns us with the things that we were when we were children and
Yeah.
younger to deal with.
It's crazy. But now I feel like what I can do is just talk about it and kind of let people know that I experience what they're going through.
Yeah.
And it is possible, because it just speaks for itself when you just keep your head screwed on right.
Well, how'd you get out of that stuff? What was the process?
I
now-
tried multiple times by myself to do it, and then I got sloppy. I dropped some stuff on my kitchen floor when I was with my ex, and her dad was an addict, and he was active with NA, and he scooped me up and brought me to
Physically took you to a place.
he scooped me up and brought me to a meeting.
Okay.
He didn't physically pick me up, but he said, "Come on, I'm going to take you." And I didn't know anything about that. I was totally naive to the whole process when it came to Narcotics Anonymous. And that's why I say now, I have two beautiful daughters with my ex, but I truly don't believe that I was supposed to be with her. I believe God was playing a chess game, and I was supposed to meet her father to save my life.
That could be a big possibility.
That's what I truly believe.
I mean, a lot of things are orchestrated,
Yeah.
and we don't even know.
Exactly.
And then you look back and you're like, holy cow, that was orchestrated.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's why I've been keeping a journal for over 20 years. I have all these books. just
Consistently?
consistently. I fell off a little bit just recently, but I go back and read some of the stuff, and totally different person. I mean, the way I was writing 20 years ago as opposed to today, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And why I like to go back and refer to the past things and how I was thinking at the time, or what was happening at the time, is to see where I needed to be to get where I'm at.
Right.
It's crazy when someone could try and have a memory and say, you know what, think back on something, but when you have that shit written down, black and white, and you read it, and you're like, this is why it happened.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You should print them.
I thought about that. I thought about scanning it every page, having it printed up, and then using the opposite page as the scanned in part.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
It would be a very big book.
The Encyclopedia of AJ.
Yeah.
So you went, and you mentioned, so you went through this dark time. You also went to college. You also got into marketing and stuff like that, and you don't look anything like like someone in marketing. Nothing. I would have never guessed you did that first. No,
a lot of people would look at me and not think that I'm someone with goals and dreams and aspirations. But I always did. I always had foresight on where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, even at my most excuse me.
It's all right.
Even at my most messed up time in my life, I always had goals and I always had dreams of where I wanted to be, and it kind of like the bump in the road or the fork in the road kind of steered me. I was supposed to be in the military. I was one signature.
Really?
Yeah, I was one signature away from being in the Army.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I heard an ad on the radio while I was driving for Connecticut Institute of Art. I wanted to go there. I was dealing with the guy that signs you into the Army. What are they called? The
recruiter.
The recruiter. I was dealing with him for a long time because my brother and I had a deli when we were younger. This is something else. So we had a deli, and he used to come in all the time, and he used to try and recruit everybody. And at a point, I was still in high school. I was the senior in high school, just getting out of high school. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to do this. I don't want to smell like onions for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't for me. So I started talking to Sergeant Brown. This guy was an awesome guy. He was funny. And we went through the whole process. I went through the physical. I went through everything, signed papers and hearing tests and all that stuff. And I was one signature away. He was picking me. I heard the commercial on the radio, and then he was picking me up the next day.
What generation Army commercial was that? Was that Be All You Can Be?
No, it was a commercial for the school that I wound up going to.
Okay.
Yeah. So he came to pick me up to go sign the paperwork, and I said, Sergeant Brown, I'm going to do something else. I decided I'm doing something else. And he said, what? You kidding me?
Freaks out. Starts putting you in your first day of boot camp, like right there.
Yeah.
I think most young men look at the Army right out of high school. I mean, the booth and table is always there on career day.
Yeah, my father was in the Army.
He was?
So that was like, all right, well, I'll just kind of
Where'd you get your art?
that.
Where'd you get your art talent from? Your mom or your dad?
Definitely my dad.
Okay.
My dad was my father has taught me so much, and not just by watching him. That's why I'm like, I try and do the same thing for my son.
Is he still alive, your father?
Yeah.
Okay.
And listen, I could tile, I could frame out, a house, I could put up sheetrock, I could tape spackle, I could do all that stuff, and it was just by being interested and watching my father do it, because he built our house when in Staten Island.
Oh wow!
So watching him put that whole thing together, I always loved the smell of broken, fresh dirt. Yeah,
fair enough.
And I always like. Some people have just recently asked me. They said, "Well, what would you do if you weren't tattooing?" I said, "I would love to be a heavy machinery operator."
Yeah. You look that part too.
Yeah.
You could pull that off as well.
Yeah. The only problem is, like, someone said, I could get you in to do that, but it's in the city. I said, well, I'm not going up on the side of a building in a crane,
Right.
like 60 stories up. It's not happening. I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah. I can't do heights either. That's why I'm a plumber.
Forget that.
I'm all in basements.
Right.
I don't even do HVAC. We don't even go up in attics.
Oh, smart.
But I do have a bit of an art background, and it just got to a point where my 20s were bad.
Yeah.
I did not do good in my 20s. And there were signs early on that I wasn't going to do I shouldn't have gone to college because I didn't graduate. And growing up was kind of tough. Came from a tough childhood, so anything anyone would put out, I would do. And then not to get too personal, but I loved the nose candy for a long time. I loved that. So that was stuff like that. The uppers, the Molly, and it was ecstasy back then.
Yeah, same here. And but that was just a weekend thing for me until
it
down
started
the road
like that for
later.
me. And then you know what it was? It was the restaurant. You ever seen the movie Waiting?
No.
It's about working in a chain restaurant with Ryan. It's an older movie with Ryan Reynolds. This movie nails it. I worked at Applebee's and Fridays, and then a couple other restaurants. Did a lot of waiting tables and tending bar, and you get into this mindset where you don't have to be up. You don't have to be at work till like 5. So everyone else who has to be at work at 5, they're partying all night long, and it just became like that. Like every night, you don't have your weekends. So whenever you can have a weekend, these are the people who don't pay taxes. You know what I mean? Like these chain restaurant workers, and you have to see this movie. They nail it. But going through that really I just did everything, anytime. I had no self-control. And then it spiraled down. And if I look, it's like a double-edged sword. I look back, I was like, I learned a lot. And I grew a lot. And I can look back and recognize when people are going through that or they're doing that. But at the same time, if I didn't have to deal with that, how much further ahead I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that goes back to the whole journal thing, right? That's where I learned a lot. Sometimes all that pain that you go through, it's growth. It's a lot of growth. So,
that is true, and it's great that you can look back on that. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's some people that never get past that, which is sad because they're either, they're stuck for the rest of their life, or they're dead.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that mindset doesn't leave a lot of people.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
How'd you when and how did you meet your current wife? How'd you guys meet?
Well, my wife came to get tattooed by me.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. So she actually knew a mutual friend of mine, and she was tattooing at the time, but she wanted to get some work done, finished by. She got it started by someone else, and normally I wouldn't touch someone else's work, but she was so hot I couldn't resist. I said, I'll tattoo anything you want. So
how long ago was that?
14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you met her 14 years ago, and how did you guys move on through? How did you take it out of professional?
How did we take it out of professional?
Was she coming to get tattoos just to keep coming to see you?
She was coming to get tattooed so she could work her way into getting a job at the shop.
Oh, she wanted to be an apprentice?
She was tattooing already.
Your wife tattoos?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
She's gonna be angry when she hears me say that.
She's not anymore.
Okay.
She still does. She can, and she will make appointments when she has the time to do that.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
But she is so busy with her job now, her current job now, that she's so focused on everything that she's doing with her current job. Yeah.
A lot of people who are artists, that's got to go on the back burner for real money. It's amazing that you were able to take your art that you love, and then make a career out of it.
Do you know in my elementary, I think it's elementary book, you have the books with the pictures?
Yeah.
And then it says, what do you want to be? And it's an artist.
Did it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I never.
Mine did not say plumber. I'll tell you that. It did not say plumber.
I tell you, I didn't know how, but I knew I wanted to. I didn't know how, but I wanted to do something art related to make money. And when I got into the advertising, like a year out of school, I got a job in advertising this advertising agency. I
Uh-huh.
worked there for 1 year. I went to this other place. I had a friend that worked for Nobody Beats the Wiz. You remember
Really? Yeah.
Nobody Beats the Wiz,
Yeah.
right? So in Nobody Beats the Wiz, they had in-house advertising where they did the circulars. You remember
Okay.
the circulars?
Mhm.
Well, I thought it was advertising. I thought I was working for Nobody Beats the Wiz. It was actually one of the company that I wound up working for. It was one of their clients.
Okay.
It wasn't, I didn't work for Nobody Beats the Wiz. I worked for Applied Graphics Technologies.
Gotcha.
But Nobody Beats the Wiz was one of our clients. I was so confused in the beginning. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I wound up getting a job there. Nobody Beats the Wiz files Chapter 11. And I'm like, what, am I out of a job now?
Oh.
Like, what now? They call a big meeting. They say, for all who wants to go into the city? I was like, I'm new. I'll go. I don't care.
Yeah.
So half the people didn't want to go. They got a severance package. I was so new that I was like, I don't care. I'll travel anywhere.
Right.
I went into the city, and then I worked in the
You
Newsweek
were living
building.
in Sayreville at the time?
I was living in Sayreville. Yep.
That's a bit of a trek.
I bought my first house. I was 24 years old. 24. And
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like back then, man, the house that I bought was a little ranch. It was like $110,000. It was killer, man. It was like doing really.
Did you have your boys come and like rent rooms and help you pay the mortgage? Because that's the smart way to do it.
No. Like I said, man, I like to. I was always kind of like
A loner.
I like to be by myself, and until later on in life,
Yeah.
you know.
A family becomes important later on in life, which it's not that I resent my family, but they make my eyes roll a lot.
Yeah.
You're just like, ugh. But as I'm getting older, I'm like, you know what? These people.
You better
these
be
people-
careful. Mom's listening to this right now.
You know what? I'm talking. I've been plugging into more of my extended family lately.
Yeah.
I always kept in touch with my immediate family, but they're in Ohio now, so it's like I talk to my parents on the phone and stuff, but plugging into my cousins, we just had like a family reunion recently with just the cousins, and it was great because we used to all get together as kids. And I'm not married. I don't plan on getting married. I don't have kids. It's time to start remembering who's important and who's been there since you've been born. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course.
No matter how much they annoy you.
Hey, you don't get to choose who your family is.
No,
You know.
it's true. You can't pick your. What is it? You can't pick your friend's nose or something like that.
You can pick your friends.
yeah.
You can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
And sometimes your friend doesn't mind if you pick his nose.
Exactly. Right.
But dude, listen. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, it was great.
I know we've been talking about a couple weeks of you coming out. I know it's a bit of a hike for you, but I appreciate you coming up. This has been really interesting, and I think everyone's going to enjoy learning about that the inside scoop on that industry.
Yeah,
But,
I had a lot of fun here.
Good. I'm glad. Now what you have to do is you got to share it everywhere. Just send it to everybody.
Just hit send.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. You're like the youngest boomer I've ever met. But all right, folks. Thanks again for listening to Plum Bums Podcast, and catch you here next week.